Welcome to Lacrosse Now. Alongside Travis Eldridge, I am Tom Eschen. Thank you for joining us for our special coverage of the 2022 Women's World Lacrosse Championships in Towson, Maryland.
Yeah, we'll tell you what to expect over the next few days of the tournament, as well as our favorite matchups as pool play continues. Plus, Team England's Megan Whittle joining the show. They start their play tonight, Thursday, against Australia.
So as the tournament begins, a look at the pools. 29 teams in total, 16 moving on after pool play is over. Everyone from Pool A will move on to the championship division, with the top 2 teams in each pool, plus the best third-place team out of all the pools advancing the play-in games for the championship group. So that's everybody else, top 2 teams and the third best out of all those. Everybody else that doesn't make that, we put into their own divisions for placement for the tournament 1 through 29.
But the tournament beginning in prime time, a heavyweight matchup Wednesday night, a rematch of the gold medal game from 2017. The United States and Canada kicking things off in style. Taylor Cummings, Marie McCool, Kayla Trainer among those back from that team. Charlotte North was not on that team in 2017, but in her debut here on the world stage for Team USA, well,
she is now.
Yeah, she didn't waste long getting into the act. She scores the first goal of the game, goes all one-woman show on us. 1-0 Team USA. But Canada had some answers. How about Dana Dobie? 37 years young, just dropping dimes. The BTB feed to Allie Jimerson. You get 3 looks at this thing. We're tied at 1 early. 3-2 Team USA. Yeah, there she is again. Queen of North America.
Wow.
Credit to Tom for that one. Charlotte North ended up with 4 goals in this one. But, hey, Canada had maybe the best highlights of the night. Aurora Cordingley goes BTB to beat Liz Hogan, and then Dana Dobie. Are you kidding me with this, Dana? Like, come on. She was the most talented player on the field last night on a field full of extremely talented players. Dobie showing you why she's one of the best to ever do it. Sam Apuzzo, though, she says, I got some highlights. Former Tewaaraton winner at Boston College goes BTB on the feed from Dempsey Arsenal. Makes it 7-4 Team USA, and there's North again. That's her 4th of the game. They got this thing to 12-10, Canada did. But Team USA running away here at the end. Kayla Trainer, she's had a few highlights in her career as well. The fake BTB in the finish, 16-11 your final. As close as Canada got, it was 2, but just too much from Team USA as the United States wins the opener. So to talk more about that opener between the United States and Canada, we have Alyssa Murray Cometti joining us now. Alyssa, first off, Team USA gets the win that I think most people expected, but it felt like Canada, especially after what we saw in the last World Championships, kind of closed the gap a bit. What were your impressions about both sides from Game 1?
I thought it was a great performance by Canada, and I think to some extent they caught the U.S. off guard based off of their friendly matches between the 2017 World Cup and today. They have been largely dominated, and it didn't feel like that same level of domination. I think when you watch Dana Dobie, she's just so impressive, and just, as she's aged, she's managed to find a way to still be dominant and find a way to find success. And her level of skill, I mean, just watching that shot that she drilled the top right corner from behind was so impressive. But when you have the number of weapons that the U.S. national team has, it's just like, pick your poison, and it's very hard for any team to stop. But a really good effort by Canada, and I'm really interested in how it's going to go Canada versus England, because I think that's going to be the next big matchup.
Was it just Dana Dobie, or was there something maybe a little different you saw Canada do that helped them play better and really compete? Right up until about 10 minutes to go in the 4th, it felt like Canada was in it.
Yeah, I think Aurora Cordingley adds another level and another layer for them. Allie Jimerson is someone that I think people forget about of how talented she is. She was an Albany transfer to Syracuse, had a great success at both of those programs, and then was an all-world player in 2017. And she had a great game as well. And just, I think Canada is just tough. And that's what they, they identify themselves as just really hard nosed, tough lacrosse players that they're going to just go out there and be tough for a full game. And so when you're going into a game like that and then that is your identity, you always feel like you're in it. So I think that was probably the biggest thing that impressed me.
You know, the thing that always stands out about Team USA in this international game is that pressure defense. And that's something that has been held over from previous regimes to now with Jenny Levy. Talk to me about somebody who has been part of this U.S. women's national team program about the pressure in the midfield. And even as the attackers, the ride, like Canada at times is able to handle it. But that seems to be the difference, because when it was 6-on-6 on either end, it seems like relatively even in terms of who's scoring. But the United States' ability to just run waves and waves of midfielders and attackers out there that have energy for days because of their depth seems to be a difference maker throughout this tournament.
That is a great point, and the ride is such a key part of the game, and I think it really displays the depth that the national team has versus Canada, especially last night. They brought it was 12-10, and then all of a sudden, I think that was the moment that Alice Mercer picks up a overthrown ball and gets it right back upfield to Kayla Trainer. We saw her unbelievable fakes and score. I mean, everyone was like, where did the ball go? But yeah, I think that is a huge part of the game. And just the fact that they have more fresh legs and more depth is where games are going to be won for them. Just that you can rely on great defense. And if you're a young player watching, it just makes that aspect of the game that didn't necessarily seem fun, at all points of, as a viewer, but like watching that and watching how much excitement is pulled and how much momentum is pulled, it makes it more valuable or more obviously valuable. And that I hope young players notice that and are as excited about it as I am.
You then talk about those young players, and Charlotte North comes to mind, as she has obviously become one of those idols for a lot of those kids. We were talking about it before. I'm like, well, will the offense flow through her? Will we have some of these splash plays that she makes and gets a couple of goals that way? The offense flowed through her at the beginning of the game for the most part, for sure. Is that what you expected? It feels like at this point in her career, nothing really surprises us. But did you expect so much Charlotte North so early?
I mean, give it to the hot hand, right? That's exactly what I would be thinking. She's the player of the moment, and I think that she's stepping up to the plate and, doing what her team needs. She's so talented, and, I thought all of the attack played really well together. I thought, Kayla Trainer had great vision, hitting a couple of players right in the middle. She draws tons of attention, and Charlotte North just takes advantage of the opportunities that are given to her. And even when you think you're in good position against her, Taylor Cummings gave her a little dump pass into the middle at one point, and two Canada girls were right in front of her, and she just shot over them. And so it's just, she's so skilled and just really takes advantage of moments like that. And yeah, I would just keep on feeding the beast.
You obviously are a Syracuse alum like Liz Hogan, and obviously she has been trying to make this team for so many times now and is finally having the opportunity to play on the world stage. Watching her in the first half last night, what was that like for you, for somebody who's known her?
Oh, I mean, it's just a nice moment to see one of your former teammates just finally get there. And I know she was so thrilled, and she's put so much work into it. I mean, being on the training team for the 2013 World Cup, then the 2017 World Cup, having to wait an extra year because of the pandemic, and now finally being there, she really deserves it. And, I know that, I'm sure she wanted a couple of those shots back, but, she's a competitor, and that's the one thing about goalkeepers, is that they have been trained to have short memories, and I know that in the next game she's going to come out really strong.
Yeah, and some of the looks that the opposition Canada got. I mean, Dana Domi's look was not great, and she made it anyway. So I mean, that's hard for anybody to stop at that point. But I guess I'm curious looking forward, because there are some of these teams in the pool that have these unbelievable individual players. I mean, you have the Hannah Nielsen's, you have the Megan Whittles of the world. I guess, what do you think U.S. needs to do to maybe help stop them a little bit better than they did in the first game against Canada as they move forward in pool play?
Yeah, I think, and especially for Canada, I feel like they are just such an untraditional team. I mean, you saw the Dana Domi backhanded and it was like such a snipe to the top corner. It's like, you can't do much about that. So there is that element that this is such a great stage that you're going to have some that you just have to tip your hat to the shooter and, expect that you're not going to get beat the same way more than once. And so I think when you're going up against countries that have a Hannah Nielsen, have a Megan Whittle, you're obviously going to send help soon to them. But these players on the U.S. national team are so talented that you almost want to let them just do their job and handle their matchup. And like I said, if you do get beat once, just don't get beat the same way twice. That way, it's that much more difficult for the opposition. So I think the coaches on the national team do such a great job of really trusting their players, and they're all professionals. They know exactly what to do, and when they've made a mistake, they don't need to be told what they did wrong. They know exactly what they did wrong, and that they're just not going to let it happen again.
Before we let you go, I want to finish up with this because you played in the World Games in 2017, the first time lacrosse had been on that stage internationally. And obviously that was kind of the normal field game. It wasn't sixes like we're going to see here coming up in the next couple of weeks. But I wonder, what was that experience like for you being part of this big international sports festival and what you're expecting this time around here in 2022 with both men's and women's now with sixes?
I think it's going to be great. And, it was really fun to kind of be a part of something like that. For me, it brought me back to, this is a way throwback, but the New York State Empire State Games, which probably very few people even know what I'm talking about there. But it was, a similar type of vibe. And just knowing that it's the step that's needed to take to get to the Olympics makes it that much more special. And knowing that with sixes, it's more realistically the type of game that we'll be seeing in the Olympics is really cool. And really, with the players that are on this roster, they're still mostly still young, that some of these players truly could be the ones that will first be in the Olympics. And I think that makes it even more special.
Yeah, that's really cool. And obviously to be a part of something that's more than just lacrosse. Lacrosse is great, but then like you said, on a bigger scale across the nations and all that, that's a really neat thing. Alyssa, we appreciate the time. Thank you so much, and enjoy the games as we get to watch you in the next couple of weeks. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Thank you. You guys too.
All right, coming up, Team England's Megan Whittle tells us why representing that Union Jack means so much and her reaction to fellow Terp Dana Dobie's fireworks on opening night. All that and more here on Lacrosse Now.
All right, let's look ahead to the rest of pool play for Team USA. Continues with a matchup Friday night with Scotland. Then it's the quick turnaround to face Australia on Saturday night before that showdown with England, a rivalry as old as this country. U.S. versus England on the 4th of July, Monday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time.
And that matchup with England means a game against former Maryland Terp Megan Whittle. She's representing England for the second straight World Championship. Whittle actually scored the game-winning goal in the bronze medal game for England in 2017. Yeah, you see it here. We caught up with Megan prior to England's first game against Australia. So we're joined by Megan Whittle now from Team England. They've got a game tonight against Australia, bronze medalist from 2017. And Megan, what's the atmosphere been like here since you guys all arrived there in Towson?
Excitement and joy are the two words that come to mind. We've been training and waiting 5 years for this moment, and just couldn't be more excited to share this opportunity with my teammates. They all flew in on Saturday. It's been a couple, patient waiting for game day, a couple of days, but no, the opening ceremony was lovely last night, and it feels very real now that it's finally game day 5 years later. So just excitement. That's the best way to describe this feeling.
We were talking a little bit about it before, but with COVID and the delays, I mean, for you, a majority of this team is coming from England and lives there. And so for you being based here in the United States, like throughout the COVID process, not only, were you guys not playing, but you're not seeing a lot of this team that you had obviously had a chance to get really close with.
Totally. So I think all teams would say how challenging COVID has been, whether you're coaching a middle school team, a high school team, a university team, or being an international athlete. It was extremely difficult. We had a lot of Zoom calls. We had a lot of forced fun over the internet to try to, keep us together and keep our team bonding strong and to forge really good relationships leading into the World Cup. And so, yeah, it's been a very long wait. We've been very patient, but the fact that all the other countries are here, we're all able to, say hi in the dining hall, see everybody at the opening ceremony, makes it feel really real, and it's worth it. All of this is worth it to be able to build a path for all the young women to come after us to hopefully play in a world championship and the Olympics one day. This has all been worth it.
But like you said, it's been 5 years, since 2017. There's 7 players still that remain from that squad for you guys that won the bronze. How different is this group maybe compared to that one?
We're different in all the best ways. I would say we are using our experience to stay level-headed and calm in a world championship on a really large stage that, frankly, a lot of us haven't been on because it hasn't been there due to COVID. I would say, though, we add a lot of young players that bring that fitness and that joy and just passion for the game that I think will propel the sport forward. And so all in all, I think our team is ready. We have, passionate captains and leaders. Our staff has been really buttoned up, and we're just really excited to show the world what we can do and, all the hard work that we put in for 5 years. And so not taking this opportunity for granted. And definitely, I feel like I'm older now on the team. I was the youngest on the team in 2017. Now I'm like an old lady. So being able to share my wisdom and my experience personally, I think is a new role and challenge that I'm excited to take on during this tournament.
You mentioned some of the young players that have joined this team. What's it been like to go up against Emily Knowles after what she did with North Carolina here this past year?
I was wondering how long it would take for you guys to bring up the Terp UNC rivalry.
Yeah.
So it's funny. The other day we were walking to the dining hall, and one of my teammates, Emma Oakley, was like, "Hey, can you hold these sticks for me?" And it was Knowles' UNC sticks. I was like, "I'm not touching those. I'm not touching those. I'm sorry. Like, go Terps." But no, she's been a wonderful addition to the team. She joined in November. Obviously, had a phenomenal season with UNC winning the national championship, and it's been really cool to bond with her. In 2017, we were undefeated national champions as the Maryland Terrapins. So I had the same exact roll up into my first World Cup. And so I feel like we kind of are on the same path right now. And so I've been able to share a lot of wisdom about taking care of your body, continuing the momentum, but also recognizing that the world stage is so much different than an NCAA tournament. I feel like being able to compete for your country is something not many people are able to do. Obviously not that many people can say they have rings from a natty either, but just, expressing how important, how fun, and how amazing this opportunity is. And so enjoying the national championship celebration, have a good time, but when it's England time, it's England time. So I think it's been really cool to have Knowles on the team, and I think she's gonna show out. And we're teammates now. We're not UNC Terps. We're just England teammates, which has been great.
You mentioned your college career, and you go back to your high school career as well, McDonough, and never losing a game and so successful there. How different is this experience? Obviously, it gives you an opportunity to play beyond the collegiate years and all of that, but how different is it, this dynamic of England? Because you're not necessarily in the front runner or anything like that. What is it like to be part of this group, maybe different than you've experienced in the past?
Yeah, it's been really eye-opening for my lacrosse career and my lacrosse experience to be a quote-unquote underdog. I don't think we're an underdog anymore, but joining the team in 2015 and 2016, I had never lost a lacrosse game. And so it's been really cool for me to experience this other side with international lacrosse. The rules are totally different. The viewers will see when we're on TV and we're on the ESPN streaming. The rules are different. It's not like NCAA. There's no shot clock. And so it's a bit of a different game. So I guess I would categorize it differently within my lacrosse career. But I think all of my experience from those past tournaments, whether it was high school or club or playing at University of Maryland, I just take all of those experiences and they've made me such a better lacrosse player. So I think my lacrosse IQ is elevated from coaching as well. And I feel like I'm in a really good spot. I feel physically in the best shape I've ever been in, and mentally, and as a leader, I feel really good. And so I think this is kind of like a full circle culmination of my personal lacrosse career, being back at Johnny Unitas Stadium, in my backyard where I picked up my first lacrosse stick, but being here with England, with the teammates that I love so dearly, that have, given me a new outlook on this sport and the sport of lacrosse that has done so much for me within my life and my career and just brought me so much joy. It's just a really awesome full circle experience. So I would really encourage all players to consider playing internationally, because it takes you around the world and you get to play the best game in the world with your best mates. So I think it's worth it.
So let's hit on that because you obviously have your English roots. That's how you're representing Team England. But you mentioned you grew up there in Baltimore. 4th of July is a big holiday here in the United States. And on the 4th of July, you guys are playing Team USA. It's like 1776 rivalry renewed. How do you digest what that is going to feel like playing for England against the country you grew up in here on the national holiday?
I think there was some strategic scheduling there, huh?
You think?
Someone did a historical lesson on that one. No, I'm being completely honest with you guys. It's one game at a time. That's the mentality I've had my entire lacrosse career, and that's the mentality our staff has given us. I'm just worried about Australia at 8 p.m. tonight. That's all I'm thinking about. I'm not worried about anything else. I'm just excited, personally to just play with a smile on my face and elevate this team, and as a team to rise to the challenge and just really take advantage of every moment. If COVID has taught me anything, you have to take advantage as a young woman that you don't really have that much future in the sport as of right now until we get in the Olympics. This is all we got. This is all we have. And so I'm taking advantage of every moment. Obviously playing the US on 4th of July is going to be epic. Not worried about that right now. I'm not thinking about it at all.
How proud is Kathy Reese for that answer right now? Is she smiling ear to ear?
Can you tell I've done Terp interview training?
We've interviewed some Terps this year.
Yeah.
It's all, you all have a great personality, but it comes back to that right there,
There's a theme. There's a theme with the Terps. Yeah, we're taught very well.
Speaking of the Terps, and a former Terp, how amazed are you by Dana Dobie when you see what she did here last night?
Dana's amazing. I mean, how cool is this to elevate the game and just to have SportsCenter highlights every time she touches the ball? She's incredible. And I was joking. We were watching the game at Johnny U, and something was like, "How does Dana do it?" I'm like, "You should see her at the alumni games, guys. She's kicking my butt, like running down the field." And so, anyways, yeah, the Terp connection is really strong. Our defensive coach Kenneth stopped by the dorms yesterday to say hello to all of us, which was awesome. And so, yeah, I take a lot of pride in playing for University of Maryland. My 4 years at Maryland were incredible. We accomplished a lot of things. I think we elevated the program to new heights, and I'm really proud of that. But I think it's just really special. International lacrosse is in a totally different category. And for someone like Dana to continue to play and ball out and just be a human highlight reel is what the sport needs. I know we need that to grow. And I want, future baby Terps who haven't even committed yet, I want them to play in the Olympics. I want them to be on the biggest stage. And so whatever I can do and whatever the rest of us as Terp alums or collegiate or university in England, whatever we can do to pave the way for the girls behind us, I'll do it. And so that's why I'm just so excited to have the opportunity to show the world how great I can be, how great the England program can be, how, prepared and well-versed we are. And again, just these opportunities don't come around often. So I'm very excited for Dana. I'll see her on game day in a couple days. But yeah, I think this is what the sport needs. So whatever we can do as former Terps or athletes that, people know our names, we need to grow this game to where it deserves to be.
You know what I really like about this tournament is you have people like Dana or Hannah Nielsen or even yourself, like they still got it. And like you said, you're in the best shape of your life right now, the best shape you've been in. For that to still be a thing, post-collegiate career, some, are able to do that better than others. Why? Why do you think, not in addition to yourself, but Dana, Hannah, anybody else who's still doing it after a few go-arounds here, why are you in the best shape of your life now? Like, what's the motivation behind that?
I love to compete. I love this game. This game has given me so much, and I feel that I have, a lot of talent that I was blessed with. I was born with a lacrosse stick in my hands growing up in Baltimore, but really, truly, I love to compete, and I want to be the best version of myself, not just for me to score a million goals and, be the face of something. I want to elevate the England program to where it deserves to be. We deserve to be at the top, and whatever I can do to get us there, I will. And I think that's what's motivated me through COVID as an individual. And honestly, my teammates are the ones that help push me to be in the best shape of my life, mentally in the best headspace I possibly could be. I'm feeling so confident and excited. And it's a little bit of a different feeling than playing for a national championship, which I felt there was a bit more pressure here. This is just joy. We're just playing out of respect for the game. This is the creators' game. And how lucky are we to be able to represent our countries and play a game that has given so much to all of us. But again, the reason why I do this is I want to be great. I love to compete. I still got it, guys. Don't worry. I still got it.
Yeah.
But this England program has just renewed my love for the game. When I started playing in 2016, collegiate lacrosse gets monotonous and there's a lot of pressure. I only lost 4 games in 4 years, and it was a lot of pressure. And here I play out of joy and I play better. I'm playing the best lacrosse because it's just fun, and that's how it should be. And so I'm hoping that we can get a couple highlights on SportsCenter, get women's lacrosse where it needs to be, because this game is medicine and it's done so much to me, especially in this past year, to just get me mentally and physically in the best position to compete for my teammates and for England. So I feel very, very lucky.
You mentioned this England program, and I think we've seen it through their dedication to sixes. We've seen it through that third-place finish that was so electric back in 2017. And I look at this roster, and I look at up and down with all the different names and the talent it feels like is on this. Hey, how have you seen this England team grow, even in the time that you were really introduced just before the World Cup back in 2017 to where we are now?
The growth has been incredible. I've been a part of this program for 6 years. Individually, I think I've grown up a lot. I started playing when I was 21. Now, I'm 26. I kind of got my head on my shoulders a little better in terms of being a lacrosse player, but watching the foundation of England lacrosse just become even more solid. I just think we are paying more attention to sixes. There's a lot more lacrosse camps. I just think the game is growing a lot more in the UK. And I think that's really important, but I'm going to keep circling back to my teammates. Laura Merrifield has a small daughter. She has a kid, and she's still out there running faster than I am. Claire Ferrum is another one of our captains. Emma Adams is another one of our captains. They have full-time jobs, and they're finding time for wall ball at 6 a.m. before they get into the office, before they get into the school to start teaching. And just, it's the motivation that I find from the other women on the team that has propelled this program forward. And I think that having, a lot of badass women to look up to as a program has elevated this program incredibly. And I think we have really awesome U19s that have joined the program. We're just, as an entire program, I think England is just elevating and we're rising to the top, and we can't wait to showcase our skill at this tournament. It's a long 2 weeks, but we're really excited to, take each day as it comes. But the future of England lacrosse is very bright, and it's not just because of players like me. I think it's the entire program and staff has dedicated so much time and effort, and we'll be at the top soon.
All right, so we'll get you out of here on this. I'll preface this to say this isn't political or anything like that, but what's something from your trips to Europe that you think maybe is really great out there that the U.S. is missing, whether that's a food or whatever it might be, something you love, said, oh, I wish we had more of this in the United States?
I think everyone needs to have a cup of tea and a couple biscuits before bedtime in America. How about that? Everyone needs to calm down a little bit and just have a cup of tea. Huh? How about that?
So,
yeah.
So you're not like Ted Lasso. You've embraced the tea.
I've embraced it, guys. I'm fully English. I've embraced it, but my teammates are amazing. I love them with all of my heart, and they're the ones that help share the English culture with me. But England is home.
That's great. Well, Megan, thank you so much for the time. Good luck. We can't wait to see you guys on the field for the first time tonight and throughout this tournament. It's going to be so much fun to watch, and enjoy this experience because it's so cool.
Thank you, guys. Thank you both so much.
All right, so England, Australia, Scotland, Canada, and the United States on that slate there in Pool A. But let's look beyond Pool A. A couple of matchups we're watching here throughout this weekend that you should keep your eye on. Tom, why don't you go first?
All right, I'm going Saturday. Puerto Rico and Israel. Puerto Rico's first senior women's world championship. Good defense led by Monica Negron, former Big East Defender of the Year at Louisville. Sky Cascarillo, great on the draw for Yale this year. Remember how good Yale was in the Ivy League? Almost their whole roster has NCAA experience. While Israel started the cross in 2010, they finished in the top 10 of every event it's ever competed in. 6th in 2017, 2nd in the European Championships in 2019. Sarah Meisenberg playing in her 3rd straight championship.
All right, keep your eyes on
2
that
p.m.
one. I'm looking ahead till Sunday. I love this matchup. Czech Republic versus Mexico, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Former William & Mary standout Belle Martiri, terrific scorer, had a big first game against Italy. She's going to Clemson next year. She takes on Mexico, who has goalie Zoe Ochoa, who was a goalie for Boston College back in 2017 when they made that first ever Final Four run to the title game. Mexico also features former Virginia midfielder Daniela Epler-Lobato. She was a 4-year starter for the Cavs. So keep your eye on those two. And we will be right back with more here on this Lacrosse Now special.
And as the games go on, we're handing over the reins of our Instagram to the athletes. Team Australia's Ashton Hiron running the Lax Sports Network Instagram account all day long on Friday.
Yeah, let's go. Hiron, of course, hails from Perth, Australia. She played her college lacrosse at Jacksonville. Atlantic Sun Player of the Year back in 2018. She finished up with a grad year at Syracuse Communications major. Both her parents played lacrosse internationally for Team Australia. She's actually a member of the media in Australia. Spent some time here in the United States doing some local news. Now a media member in Australia and taking over the LSN Instagram.
So that is on Sunday.
Friday.
Friday that is
on
happening.
Friday that is happening.
Remember Travis's watch. I need your watch to tell me what everything's going to happen there. So, yes, that will be on Friday. Can't wait for you to tune in for that. Make sure to tune back in for us on Sunday. That's on Sunday.
Yes.
We can't wait for that for sure as we continue to react and also preview the rest of these games and pool play as it goes on.
Yeah, for sure. But that's all the time we have for today. He's Tom. I'm Travis. We'll see you.